If you don't have enough t-shirts for a quilt, you could make them into a pillow. The Too Cool style makes beautiful pillows. Long arm quilting a t-shirt pillow will set it apart from other pillows made from t-shirts. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a pillow that is 24 inches by 24 inches. The pillow has t-shirts on the front and it has t-shirts on the back. On the back, we simply have an overlap. That way you can put your pillow form in. I wanted to keep it simple, so I did not use a zipper. So let's break down how this pillow is constructed. To make this pillow, you actually have a number of sections that you're going to work on. You have the front section, which is 24 by 24. And then you have two sections for the back, here, and then you have this section here. We use a piece of masonite, which has a grid drawn on it, for our pillows. This is how the pillow sections break down. You're going to be making a pillow top, and this is how it works. The blue represents the front. Come around to the back. The yellow is this section. The black is what's underneath. And the red is what is on top. So let's lay that on my board here. I have my grid on masonite, but you could recreate this on a piece of paper or on a piece of fabric. So let's look at the different pieces as we put them on our grid here. This blue represented the front of the pillow. The red represented the back of the pillow that was on the outside. The yellow is the part of the pillow that is seen on the back. And the black is the part that's hidden. So these are your different sections. When you make your pillow, you're going to make a pillow top that includes all these sections in one piece. So let's look at that Minnie Mouse pillow and see how we'd lay that out. You can have a lot of fun when you lay out your pillow. Here's the front of the pillow. I want to put the most important pieces here because that's what's going to be seen most of the time. So I'm going to start with Mickey here. And he's kind of looking in towards the center of the pillow top. Perfect. Have a little Minnie here. And she's kind of looking dead on, so she works really well there. Another just Mickey, and he's looking head on. Perfect. Let's look at Minnie Mouse here. She's a winking. So that's pretty much my pillow face, except I have this area up there. And I can have pieces transverse this line so they can be seen on the front and the back. So let's take this one and put Mickey right there. So when he's actually in the pillow, he's going to be like this, half on the front, half on the back. Over here on this side, remember, this area cannot be seen. It will be underneath the flap. Although people will see parts of this if the pillow's pushed out or moved around. So I make sure I have this a color that kind of works with the rest of the pillow. So I have my Minnie Mouse here. I have her cut so that I have part of her actually hidden, which is okay because you run out of room sometimes if you have a lot of shirts. So this is my line right here that will be hidden. And then I added just another piece of fabric onto her because that will be hidden also. I have this cute little Minnie here. I'm just going to put her right there. I'm going to put a piece of red next to her. This is the hidden area. But if we happen to see underneath that, you'll just see a little bit of red. Over to this side of the pillow, that will be the side that's on the back that you'll see most of. I have a really big block for that one. Now I can't put her right here because obviously they would overlap. So I'm going to put her here. Now I have some blank areas. And I found this really cool fabric that has dots on it. I thought that was a lot of fun, so I'm going to use that. I also only have one piece of black and I have a hole. So I'm just going to use one black 4x4 filler to fill that in. So there I have it all laid out. What's next? You have two options. You can actually take this to your sewing machine and work right from your board. Or you can take a photograph of your pillow top and work from the photograph. Once you have your pillow top finished, you don't have to put a temporary binding on it. That's because we're going to float this at the end of another quilt. That'll save us some time and effort of having to quilt it individually. It's time to quilt our pillow. To save time and effort, I like to quilt my pillows at the bottom of another quilt. I finished this quilt earlier and I have all this leftover backing I can use. I also like to use scraps of batting for the pillow. So I have my batting and I have my pillow and I have my backing material. I lay out my scrap of batting and we're going to float the pillow, kind of a hybrid float, not float. If I was floating my pillow, I would just put it on like this and start quilting. But the problem with that is you might get this tucked in or it might not lay flat. So to solve this problem, 505 spray glue to the rescue. I'm going to actually just put a little glue to keep it stuck to the batting. I'm not going to put a lot, and I'm going to put it right there on the batting. Just enough to keep it in place. I want to be careful that I don't get glue everywhere. Now that I've sprayed it down, it's going to lie nice and smooth. So now I can go ahead and quilt the pillow. When I quilt a pillow, I don't do any tracing because you're not going to see the back. It's going to be quilted, but you don't see the back, so I just go ahead and just do designs on the different blocks. Now I need to be very careful along the edge that I don't get the edge tucked in. It needs to lay nice and smooth. I don't actually quilt all the way to the edge because this is going to be caught in a seam. And it keeps it from catching that and bringing this in funny like that. So give yourself plenty of room. I'm not going to be able to do the entire pillow without having to roll forward. So I'm going to go to this level and stop and then come back at it. This area of the pillow will be hidden, so I don't need to do anything very fancy on that. I've gotten everything I can in this top row, and now I'm going to roll it forward and finish it off. That's all it takes to quilt your pillow. Now let's go cut it out and make it into an actual pillow. This is what your pillow will look like once you take it off the long arm quilting machine. Next, we need to cut it out. So we're going to use our rulers in templates. Line up your corners. It's not going to be perfect. After you've cut your first corner, move your template up and cut out your second corner. You get to the corner, pick up your big template and cut out the corner. After you have it cut out, our next step will be to bind the right and the left sides. Our next step is to bind the left and right side of the pillow. I use the same binding that I do on a t-shirt quilt. Our next step is to transform this into a pillow. We have two sides that have to get folded in and sewn. You start with the side that will be up, not the side that has the hidden part. That gets done second, this gets done first. The fold over is 16 inches. I have 8, 4, and 4, and that's 16. So my fold line is going to be right there at that seam. So I'm going to pull it over, and I'm going to sew from here down to here. When you're sewing, you want to make sure that this pillow doesn't get turned in like this while you're sewing, otherwise it won't look good on the opposite side. You can use a 1/4 inch seam. I like to go just a little bit heavier than a 1/4 inch seam. So let's open this up and see how it looks. So I have a 12-inch block and I have an 8-inch block, so I need to have my seam stop right here in the middle of the 8-inch block. So when I fold it over, I actually have 4 corners that I have to match. This will be this seam back on itself. That has to match perfectly. We found that if we use straight pins to hold this seam, that it'll get out of whack. So we use little office clips. And I put a little office clip on each side. Now I'm just going to sew right here with a basting stitch because I want to make sure I have that seam perfectly. If I'd sew the whole thing and I was off, I'd have to go back and take out a lot, and that's very frustrating. So set your machine up to a basting stitch, which means stitch length is going to be 4 or 5 or 6 stitches per inch. I'm just going to take 3 or 4 stitches, unpin it, and then I'm going to look from the back side. And that will be good. It's right there. So now I can sew it the rest of the way. So I set my stitch back to the regular length, and I want to make sure that I have all the fabric that's laying flat. Don't want to have anything twisted in. Be sure to sew right on top of those stitches you put in earlier. Now let's turn it inside out. We don't have anything that looks bad. Everything's tucked in nice and beautiful. That's side one. For the second side, this is my fold point, and this piece right here needs to be hidden behind here. Now at this point, I can't see the seam that's hidden here. I'm just going to go straight, and hopefully I get it. But if I don't, I'll flip it over and get it on the other side. You want those two seams to line up on top of each other. So let's look at this side. I have all the ruffles in, and it looks good. And these two sides lined up on top of each other. So let's do our last side. On this side, it's easy to line up your stitches on this seam with the first seam. So now we're going to turn it inside out. So I look along all my seams and make sure I've caught everything, top and bottom. Very neat. And now I put my pillow form in. So I shove the pillow form in as far as I can, and then I've got to get this part to go under my other flap. And there's your pillow.